Hello students, welcome to lecture number 9 of instrumental methods of analysis. In this lecture we will discuss about the various factors that affects the fluorescence with the quenching effect. So in the previous lecture we discussed the various deactivation processes and how this fluorescence is generally observed and how it is different from the phosphorescence. So now coming on to the and listing the factors that may affect the fluorescence intensity. The fluorescence intensity mainly depends on these factors, which are quantum yield, transitions in the structure or the inflorescence, structure, structural rigidity, temperature, solvent, pH and concentration. So let us discuss one by one, starting with the quantum yield. So quantum yield or quantum efficiency is the ratio of number of molecule that luminescence to the total number of excited molecule. So जब आपने रेडिएशन स्ट्राइक किया मॉलिक्यूल के ऊपर तो कितने मॉलिक्यूल एक्साइटेशन में गए, एक्साइटेशन होने के बाद कितने मॉलिक्यूल्स ने ल्यूमिनेसेंस शो किया, एमिशन शो किया. एमिशन तो जितने मॉलिक्यूल्स ने एमिशन शो किया उसको आप जब डिवाइड करेंगे टोटल नंबर ऑफ एक्साइटेड एटम से, सो यू विल गेट द क्वांटम यील्ड और द क्वांटम एफिशिएंसी. सो फॉर हाईली फ्लोरेसेंट मॉलिक्यूल दिस इज इक्वल टू अराउंड 1, नियर टू 1, और जो बहुत ही पुअर होते हैं फ्लोरेसेंस दैट वैल्यू अप्रोचेस टुवर्ड्स द 0. तो दिस वैल्यू रेंजेस फ्रॉम 0 to 1. So maximum fluorescence 1, minimum fluorescence or no fluorescence is 0, can be 0. So this is the equation by which we can calculate the quantum yield. So this quantum yield or efficiency is denoted by the symbol phi, that is the ratio of Kf. Kf is the rate constant of fluorescence, that is divided by the sum of the all other rate constants of different processes that we have already discussed. So where Kf is the fluorescence rate constant, Ki is the rate constant of internal conversions, external conversion, pre-dissociation, and Kd is the dissociation. So in the numerator you have a Kf, that is the rate constant of fluorescence, and in the denominator we have a combination of all other rate constants that may be involved. So what you are observing, what radiationless or radiation phenomena you are observing for deactivation, that rate constant you can include in the equation and you can calculate the quantum efficiency. So when all other rate constants are suppose 0, so that indicates that in the numerator you have a rate constant Kf of fluorescence, and in the denominator also you have a rate constant of fluorescence. In that case only you will have a value of 1. So those compounds that can show the fluorescence at the maximum rate has this ratio around 1. So if your deactivation has other process also, like suppose if you are experiencing this external conversion or internal conversions or pre-dissociations or dissociation, then this value, this whole sum value will increase, and due to this reason this overall ratio will decrease from 1. So those variables that leads to the higher value of Kf and lower value of other rate factors enhance the fluorescence. So any modification in the structure that support this equation can increase the quantum efficiency or quantum yield of that particular compound to fluorescence. So the magnitude of Kf, Kpd and Kd generally depend upon the chemical structure. So by modifying the structure you can alter the Kf value, you can alter the Kd value, you can alter the PK, PD value, that is the fluorescence, dissociation and pre-dissociation, and the other rate constants generally depend upon the surroundings environment and to some extent. So, one important thing to keep in mind that fluorescence generally do not observed after absorption of a wavelength less than 250 nanometer, because such light generally has a very high energy content, and that may lead to the rupture of the bond. So, in that case you can observe the pre-dissociation process or dissociation process. So, to decrease the dissociation or pre-dissociation, we should always use the wavelength above 250 nanometer, because it has a relatively less amount of energy. So, it cannot cause the pre-dissociation or dissociation or rupture of the bonds. And most of organic molecule have at least some bonds that can be ruptured by the energy of this radiation. So, as a result, fluorescence generally due to this sigma to sigma star to sigma transition is not observed. So, whenever you are observing the fluorescence, that you should always keep in mind that in fluorescence this type of transitions are generally not involved. So, we need transitions that have a less energy content as compared to the sigma to sigma star transitions. So, what are those? Those can be either the pi star transitions, or it can be n pi star transition. So, from n to pi star, when it go back, then it has to come down from pi star to n, and it can come to from pi star to pi. So, such low energy transitions are generally more favored, but high energy transitions like sigma to sigma star generally do not observe the fluorescence. In fact, they cause the pre-dissociation or dissociation can cause. So, fluorescence is more commonly found in the compounds in which the lowest energy transitions of like pi star type or n pi star type are generally favored. In fact, all if we compare the pi star and the n pi star transitions, the most favorable transition for fluorescence is the pi to pi star transition. So, whenever the relaxation or deactivation of a pi star to pi is taking place, that may or that definitely can cause you the fluorescence. Even n pi star transition generally are not favored for fluorescence, because they can promote the intersystem crossing or triplet state conversions. So, second is the structure. So, when we look into the structure, the most intense and the useful fluorescence is generally found in the compounds that have the aromatic functional groups. So, aromatic rings generally have this pi to pi star transitions. So, that is why they are more favorable for fluorescence. Even the compounds that have 2 or more aromatic rings or the fused aromatic rings, they are more like beneficial in terms of the fluorescence intensity, they increase the fluorescence intensities. The compounds other than aromatics like aliphatics or alicyclic compounds can also show fluorescence if they have a conjugated systems, because conjugation improves these pi star transitions and they may increase the fluorescence. So, the most unsubstituted aromatic hydrocarbons fluorescence in solutions, and the quantum efficiency usually increases with the number of rings and their degree of condensations. Simple heterocyclic compounds like pyridine, furan, thiophene, pyrrole, they generally do not exhibit the fluorescence, because in such type of molecule the main transition that is observed is the n to pi star transition, and we have discussed already earlier that n to pi star transitions mainly promotes the internal conversions or intersystem crossings. So, therefore, they are not more suitable for the fluorescence. Fused ring heterocycles like naphthalene, phenanthrene, anthracene, quinoline, isoquinoline, indoles, they can show fluorescence to very good extent because of the dominancy of the pi star transitions. Now, when we substitute the aromatic rings, this may cause a shift in the wavelength of the absorption maxima, and it can changes the fluorescence emission also. In addition to this, the substitution affects the quantum efficiency also. So, we can see in this table here that in the first we have a unsubstituted benzene ring, aromatic ring, that has a fluorescence intensity of 10, and when we are adding up the methyl group, which is a plus I type group, so that increases the efficiency, but when we are adding the electron withdrawing groups like halogens, the fluorescence intensity is decreased. Even in case of iodine, you can see that fluorescence is totally abolishes, finish. Whereas, in case of phenol, you have a good better fluorescence intensity of 18 quantum efficiency. In case of aniline, you have a 20, the highest one, and in case of even nitrile benzene, you are also having a good fluorescence intensity. And in the nitro, the strong electron withdrawing group, still you have a fluorescence intensity of the 0. So, strong electron withdrawing groups abolishes the frequency fluorescence intensity, electron donating groups may observe the better fluorescence intensity. In case of halogens, when we compare by increasing the size of the halogen, like you can say fluorine, then chlorine, then bromine, and then iodine, you can see that fluorescence intensity is decreasing. So, fluorine has a better fluorescence intensity, and as we go to the iodine, by increasing the size, the fluorescence is decreasing. So, this effect is the heavy atom effect, because by increasing the size, the fluorescence is also decreasing. So, the decrease in the fluorescence with increasing the molar mass of the halogen is an example of heavy atom effect that increases the probability for the intersystem crossings to the triplet state. So, this mainly decreases the fluorescence and it increases the chances of the phosphorescence. On the other hand, pre-dissociation is also important factor, because if the size of the halogens increase, that there is a chance of breaking of its bond from the carbon. So, dissociation or pre-dissociation can also be enhanced in such situation. Substitution of a carboxylic acid or a carbonyl group on aromatic ring generally inhibit the fluorescence, and in this case you can see that carboxylic compounds and carbonyl compounds, you have a N2 pi star transitions that we have already discussed. Ki when there is a involvement of the N2 pi star transitions, then the probability of exhibiting the fluorescence generally decreases as compared to the pi to pi star transitions. So, hence the fluorescence yield from the N to pi star transition is generally low as compared to the pi star transition. Then we have a structural rigidity. Rigidity generally increases the fluorescence. So, the fluorescence is particularly favored in the molecules with the rigid structures. For example, the quantum efficiencies of fluorine and biphenyl are nearly 1 and 0.2. So, its fluorescence intensity is around 1, whereas for biphenyl its fluorescence intensity is 0.2. And if you look closely, both structures have only one difference of this CS2 methylene group. So, here this biphenyl group do not have a methylene group. So, this methylene group actually joins these two aromatic ring and make the structure more rigid, whereas in case of biphenyl this is methylene group is not present. So, this two aromatic ring can rotate easily to this single bond, and it has a have a flexible orientations. So, this flexible orientation generally are not favored or not required for the fluorescence. So, for better fluorescence, the structure must be rigid in nature. The influence of rigidity also increases the fluorescence of certain like chelates, chelating agents, when they are complex with the metal ions. So, example is that the fluorescence intensity of 8-hydroxyquinoline is much less than that of its zinc complex. So, here we have 8-hydroxyquinoline with the zinc. So, 8-hydroxyquinoline has a less fluorescence intensity, but when this 8-hydroxyquinoline make a complex with the zinc ions, so its zinc salt has a better fluorescence intensity values. So, this is also dedicated to the rigidity into their structure. So, the lack of rigidity in a molecule probably causes an enhanced internal convergence rate. So, the rigidity is directly can be related to the internal conversion rate constant K IC value, and consequent increase in the likelihood of the radiationless deactivation process. After this, we have the temperature. The quantum efficiency of fluorescence in most of the molecule decreases with increasing the temperature, because by increasing the temperature we are causing the more number of collisions to happen. So, as we increase the temperature, there is a chance of or increase, there may increase a number of collisions, and number of collisions and due to increase in the number of collision, the radiationless deactivation process chances increases. So, due to this reason the fluorescence chances decreases. So, at high temperatures collisions increases, and it increase the probability of deactivation by the external conversion. So, by increasing, so if you increase the temperature, fluorescence decreases, because by increasing the temperature you are increasing the collisions, it causes the increase in external conversions, and it causes decrease the fluorescence. So, this is a relation of temperature and the fluorescence. So, whenever we are we need to observe the fluorescence, we need to have a better fluorescence. So, we generally carry out the study at a colder temperature or lesser temperature values in cold conditions. Next is the solvent effect. The solvent in the solvent effect, the most important factor is the viscosity. So, if we decrease the viscosity, so decrease in the viscosity generally increases the fluorescence, because when we decrease the viscosity, we are also decreasing the chances of the collisions. क्योंकि जब एक सॉल्यूशन है जो बहुत ज़्यादा विस्कस हो जाएगा, तो जो एटम्स मॉलिक्यूल्स को आपस में टकराने के लिए चांसेस जो होंगे वो कम हो जाएंगे, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट द कोलिजन्स विल डिक्रीज, एंड बाय डिक्रीजिंग द कोलिजन्स द chances of these external conversions, the chances of the external conversion also decreases, and this causes increase in the fluorescence. So, the fluorescence of any molecule is decreased by the solvents containing the heavy atom. Another important feature into the solvent effect is the presence of the heavy atom in the solvents. So, when heavy atoms like carbon tetrabromide, in case of carbon tetrabromide we have a bromine, or like ethyl iodide we have the iodide. So, in such situations where our solvents have the heavy atoms, So, that may cause the heavy atom effect, and due to this reason fluorescence still can be it may decrease, and the effect is like that, which occurs when the heavy atoms are substituted into the fluorescent compounds. The orbital spin interactions results in increase in the rate of a triplet formation, and this decreases the fluorescence. So, compounds containing the heavy atoms are frequently incorporated into the solvents when enhanced phosphorescence is desired. So, when we want the when we want the phosphorescence, we deliberately dissolve our compounds into the solvents which have the heavy atoms, so that we decrease the fluorescence and we can increase the phosphorescence. So, due to this heavy atom effect, fluorescence is decreased and phosphorescence is generally increased. And next is the pH effect. So, the fluorescence of an aromatic compound that with the acidic or the basic ring substituent is generally pH dependent. So, if any compound has some acidic substituents or the basic substituents, then pH play most important role. Because at different pH values we know that such ionic compounds generally exist in two different forms, like it can exist in the either in the protonated structure, or it will exist in the deprotonated or unprotonated structure. And the emission pattern of the protonated form and the unprotonated form are totally different. So, at what particular pH which form exists or which form dominates, and that particular form whether it is responsible for fluorescence or not, that will decide the extent of fluorescence. So, for any particular substance, if protonated form is responsible for fluorescence, then we should encourage or we should modify the pH so that it dominate into the solution. Like example is that aniline, because aniline has the several resonating structures, but if we look into the anilinium ion, it has only one structure. So, this is the resonance structure of aniline. You can see it can exist into the three different resonating forms, whereas in case of anilinium ion it has only one resonating structure. So, the resonating structure of the resonance form also leads to the more stable excited state. So, for any molecule that have more number of resonating structure can have a more stable the first excited state, and if the first excited state is more stable, so the chances of intersystem crossing generally decreases and the chances of fluorescence generally increases, because from the first excited single state it will then come to the ground state. Another important factor is the concentration. So, concentration can be related to the fluorescence with the help of the equation. Now, according to this equation, if we see that we have the constant k, we have the quantum efficiency, the intensity of the radiation, but if we look into this equation, we can clearly see that fluorescence can be related to the concentration directly. So, as we increase the concentration, fluorescence also increases, but to some particular extent. So, at very low absorbance values that are generally below 0.02, then this effect is or relationship is the linear. But when the absorbance increases at a higher concentration, so this relationship of fluorescence to the concentration generally deviate from its linearity, and fluorescence intensity decreases further after increasing the concentration. So, this may be due to the inner filter effect. Now, after this several factors, we come to the quenching. So, quenching is the process or the phenomena by which the fluorescence intensity either decreases or abolishes due to the introduction or due to some process. So, if you are like modifying the structure, if you are modifying the condition and the fluorescence intensity either decreases or it abolishes. So, that decrease or abolishment of intensity is called as a quenching. So, quenching can broadly be classified into three different types: collisional impurity quenching, also known as a static quenching; energy transfer quenching, also known as the dynamic quenching; and concentration quenching, which is a self quenching. So, first we will take the collisional impurity quenching or the static quenching. So, in this type the interaction between the luminescent species or the compound that is showing the fluorescence and the quencher is generally can be any impurity take place in the ground state and it forms a non-luminescent complex. So, suppose you have a fluorescent species S that react or interact with the quencher and it makes a complex SQ. Now, this SQ complex is the non-fluorescent. So, this then in this case Q will be called as a quencher. So, the efficiency of the quenching mainly depend upon the concentration of the quencher, that as how much amount of quencher is present in the solution. So, if we increase the quantity of the quencher or that particular impurity or the non-analyte substance, if it will it may cause the either decrease or abolish the fluorescence intensity and causes the quenching effect. Just to take example, for example, quenching of fluorescence intensity of orthophenanthrolene by the ferrous ions. So, if orthophenanthrolene के अंदर अगर हम ferrous की impurity present है Fe2+, so in that case quenching generally observed and the fluorescent intensity of orthophenanthrolene decreases. Second type is the static quenching or also called as collisional impurity quenching. Oh, that is the same thing, sorry, first one is continued. So, the loss of fluorescence may also occur by the formation of a complex between the excited simple sample species and the ground state impurity molecules. The dissolved oxygen can also act as a quencher, and if there is a presence of any paramagnetic species like oxygen, so that is also a quencher. For example, anthracene. Anthracene loses its fluorescence intensity in presence of the molecular oxygen. So, for anthracene, oxygen is a static quencher. Another example is the quinine sulfate. Quinine in acidic solution is a fluorescent compound, it shows the fluorescence, but in case of the neutral or the alkaline solutions or sorry, it generally do not fluorescence. And even in the acidic condition also we can compare that in sulfuric acid it show fluorescence, but in case of HCl which has the halide ion, it do not fluoresce. So, halide ions are considered as a quencher for the quinine. Then next is the energy transfer quenching or the dynamic quenching, and this is also an impurity quenching that take place when the first excited singlet state of impurity is at the same energy level of first excited singlet state of the analyte species. So, when the excited state of the impurity and excited state of the sample, when they are at the same energy level, the energy transfer can occur in between them, and this may cause the quenching effect. So, when any analyte sample transfer its energy to the non-analyte or other impurity in the excited state, then this is called as a dynamic quenching or energy transfer quenching. So, by this process non-radiative energy transfers occurs between the analyte and between the impurities. And finally, the third one is the concentration quenching. Concentration quenching is also called as the self quenching. So, this generally take place with increasing the concentration of the analyte. So, here we are not discussing about the impurities interaction. So, analyte itself causes the decrease in the intensity, and that is why it is called as a self quenching. So, this mainly take place with increasing concentration of the analyte species due to the formation of the colloidal complex between the molecule of the sample that has been excited to the first excited singlet state to the second identical unexcited molecule. So, energy is generally transferred from the first excited singlet state to the unexcited state. So, the molecule itself transfers its energy within themselves, and there is no loss of energy, and no fluorescence is generally observed, and by transferring the energy to the unexcited molecule, it directly come back to the ground state. So, this mainly happens when the concentration is relatively very high. So, therefore, it is suggested that whenever we are conducting the fluorescence determinations, we should always go for the dilute or the very dilute solution, so that we can avoid this self quenching, because in the concentration relationship we have also discussed that fluorescence and concentration are directly proportional to some extent, and beyond that increasing the concentration, fluorescence intensity generally decreases. So, the effect may be due to this concentration quenching or the self quenching. So, further reading can be done from the Skoog-Haller. This is a reference that can you use for your further study. Thank you.